Roger Malvin's Burial by Nathaniel Hawthorne. One of the few incidents of Indian warfare naturally susceptible of the moonlight of romance was that expedition undertaken for the defense of the frontiers in the year 1725, which resulted in the well-remembered Lovell's Fight. Imagination, by casting certain circumstances judicially into the shade, may see much to admire in the heroism of a little band who gave battle to twice their number in the heart of the enemy's country. The open bravery displayed by both parties was in accordance with civilized ideas of valor, and chivalry itself might not blush to record the deeds of one or two individuals. The battle, though so fatal to those who fought, was not unfortunate in its consequence to the country, for it broke the strength of a tribe and conduced to the peace which subsisted during several ensuing years. History and tradition are usually minute in their memorials of their affair, and the captain of a scouting party of frontiermen has acquired as actual a military renown as many a victorious leader of thousands. Some of the incidents contained in the following pages will be recognized, notwithstanding the substitution of fictitious names by such as I have heard from old men's lips. The fate of the few combatants who were in a condition to retreat after Lovell's Fight. The early sunbeams hovered cheerfully upon the tree-tops beneath which two weary and wounded men had stretched their limbs the night before. Their bed of withered oak leaves was strewn upon the small level space at the foot of a rock, situated near the summit of one of the gentle swells by which the face of the country is there diversified. The mass of granite, rearing its smooth, flat surface 15 or 20 feet above their heads, was not unlike a gigantic gravestone, upon which the veins seemed to form an inscription in forgotten characters. On a tract of several acres around this rock, oaks and other hardwood trees had supplied the place of the pines, which were the usual growth of the land, and a young and vigorous sapling stood close beside the travelers. The severe wound of the elder man had probably deprived him of sleep, for so soon as the first ray of sunshine rested on the top of the highest tree, he reared himself painfully from his recumbent posture and sat erect. The deep lines of his countenance and the scattered gray of his hair marked him as past the middle age. But his muscular frame would, but for the effect of his wound, have been as capable of sustaining fatigue as in the early vigor of life. Languor and exhaustion now sat upon his haggard features, and the despairing glance which he sent forward through the depths of the forest proved his own conviction that his pilgrimage was at an end. He next turned his eyes to the companion who reclined by his side. The youth, for he had scarcely attained the years of manhood, lay with his head upon his arm, in the embrace of an unquiet sleep, which a thrill of pain from his wounds seemed each moment on the point of breaking. His right hand grasped a musket, and, to judge from the violent action of his features, his slumbers were bringing back a vision of the conflict of which he was one of the few survivors. A shout, deep and loud in his dreaming fancy, found its way in an imperfect murmur to his lips, and, starting even at the slight sound of his own voice, he suddenly awoke. The first act of reviving recollection was to make anxious inquiries respecting the condition of his wounded fellow-traveler. The latter shook his head. "Reuben, my boy," said he, "this rock beneath which we sit will serve for an old hunter's gravestone. There is many and many a long mile of howling wilderness before us yet, nor would it avail me anything if the smoke of my own chimney were but on the other side of that swell of land. The Indian bullet was deadlier than I thought. "You are weary with our 3 days' travel," replied the youth, "and a little longer rest will recruit you. Sit you here while I search the woods for the herbs and roots that must be our subsistence, and having eaten you shall lean on me, and we will turn our faces homeward. I doubt not that, with my help, you can attain some one of the frontier garrisons." "There is not 2 days' life in me, Reuben," said the other calmly, "and I will no longer burden you with my useless body, when you can scarcely support your own. Your wounds are deep, and your strength is failing fast. Yet, if you hasten onward alone, you may be preserved. For me there is no hope, and I will await death here." "If it must be so, I will remain and watch by you," said Reuben resolutely. "No, my son, no," rejoined his companion. "Let the wish of a dying man have weight with you. Give me one grasp of your hand, and get you hence. Think you that my last moments will be eased by the thought that I leave you to die a more lingering death? I have loved you like a father, Reuben, and at a time like this I should have something of a father's authority. I charge you to be gone, that I may die in peace." "And because you have been a father to me, should I therefore leave you to perish and to lie unburied in the wilderness?" exclaimed the youth. "No, if your end be in truth approaching, I will watch by you and receive your parting words. I will dig a grave here by the rock, in which, if my weakness overcome me, we will rest together. Or, if heaven gives me strength, I will seek my way home." "In the cities, and wherever men dwell," replied the other, "they bury their dead in the earth. They hide them from the sight of the living. But here, where no step may pass perhaps for 100 years, wherefore should I not rest beneath the open sky, covered only by the oak leaves when the autumn winds shall strew them? And for a monument, here is this grey rock on which my dying hand shall carve the name of Roger Malvin. And the traveller in days to come will know that here sleeps a hunter and a warrior."